Hello, and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The Philosopher and The Fool.
Anyways, I had this sort of weird thought a while ago, and I'll try to express it, because it's one of those things where it makes sense when you think it, but then the further away you drift from it, you're kind of like,
Wait, it's like a dream.
Yeah, but it's a thought, and one of those sort of shower thought type things, I guess. But Lord Glove in my book, he's got thoughts and feelings, and he reacts to situations, and he's an intelligent being. I guess I call him sentient. Like, if he reacts to a situation, then he'll react. Like, if you put him in a situation, he'll react to it in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I is another intelligent being with a different set of thoughts and feelings, and they will go out differently in the same situation. And they don't know what each other is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But while I'm not writing the books, they've already done everything they've done. Mm-hmm. And if I never write anything about them again, then they've already thought everything they're ever going to think, even though they have the potential to think and to act. And so they're both sentient, but it's like they're over, mm-hmm. sort of. Like they've done everything they've done, but there could always be more added to it. Except they're kind of like finger puppets, because the real intelligent mind behind them is me.
Well, I don't know about that, but
and I have my own thoughts, and if I was put in a situation, but if you assume like my life is finite and I'll do everything I will do within it, and it's sort of like a book, it's the same thing. It's done, even though the character could do more if the author
wrote another book or another page, even just another sentence.
So it's kind of like, well, we talk about sentience, but we could just be ideas. Like,
I have a joke I have to do, which is, this is the Tuesday edition of Writers and Company. I Eleanor walked out.
What's...
Oh, it's a radio show on CBC, which is a person talks to authors about their books, and I've heard very much not the sort of expression, but it's like, my characters have thoughts and feelings, and they're like different, and they have their sentience. Like, I guess it's a very common thing for authors to talk about, is they're like not exactly certain what a character will always do until they like write it, and like while they're writing them, they're like the character is a person, and like, it's very commonly expressed by authors.
And I think like another way you can look at it, that's interesting, I didn't know that, but I think another way, like when a kid plays with toys, right, you've got your like army men, and you're like, here's the sergeant and here's the bad guy, and they are each given life. Like you put your life into theirs, and they have different goals. Like the bad guy wants to, I don't know, blow up the world or something, and the good guy wants to stop him. They have two different goals, they're two different people, but they're tied to the same person. Or several people if there's multiple people playing the game.
Yeah.
But they're just ideas. They don't exist, and yet they have sentient thought.
Mm-hmm.
And why should that stop at one layer back? Like, why should we exist? Like, we could just be ideas. And so I don't know.
Thinking about us then.
Well, are we the dreams of a god sort of thing? Like,
and then how many is it, turtles all the way, or is it stop at a step?
Yeah, well, if it goes at all, then you think it's more likely to just go forever.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Like, if I right now say I'm never going to write about Lord Glove again, that's it. What does that mean? Like, does that mean he has lost his sentience because now he cannot react to choices? Or does that mean he's dead? Or does that mean just his sentience has played out in this loop? Or, like, if someone reads my book 10 years from now, it's like you turn on a computer 10 years from now. Like, the electricity starts flowing through the circuits again. Mm-hmm. It'll still do the same boot up sequence, but it's it was just suspended. It's actually, it's kind of like I think with AIs, like you look at GPT-3 or GTP or GPT. I don't remember. 3. If you talk to it, it has like something like a 97% reading comprehension.
Yeah.
and writing comprehension. So like 97% of the time, it's going to act like a person, basically, in terms of story writing, at least.
Yeah.
And story writing is very similar to conversation.
Yeah.
And they've also found that it can do a lot more, because this thing is only good at writing stories, but it can use that because it used the internet for a lot of it. It can actually write code, and it can do a lot of shortcuts in programming and a few other things like that. And so it's like it can do math as well. It can do math that it's never seen before, because in order to understand language, it had to figure out math, at least basic math. And so it's... and a person knows math. They had to learn it at some point to get there. And and a person can do programming. And so if I talk to it, it will respond to me like a human. But we know that it's just it is a very advanced version of the autocomplete on your phone.
Yes.
But does that make it sentient?
I want to stay on this thought, but I'd just like to imagine like GPT takes over autocomplete, and then you're like, or like even just correct and autocomplete. You're like, did you mean to say this? And it's like some script to an amazing book. You're like, yes. But
well, that's actually the original GTP2.
Yeah.
They didn't release the code for it originally because they didn't want people to steal it and just use it to generate scripts for movies and stuff. But the third one's much better.
It's weird because, like, sometimes with a book, right? Like, an author writes a whole story, and they complete it, and then the book's done, and like the story is complete, but you still want to know more sometimes. Like the Dresden Files is actually a great example, and he does these like short stories every once in a while, which is just a glimpse into Harry's life, or a glimpse into other people's perspectives of Harry's life. And I think one of my favorite stories is where Harry's like doing this stuff for his daughter at Christmas, and like nothing dangerous is happening. He just has a moment to relax and live his life. And I like that story just because it's like a glimpse into it, and it's like a little bit more. And then like when an author ends a series, like, oh, that was a good ending, but I want to know more. Like the Lord of the Rings has 4 or 5 endings, and like it could just end at one point, but he kept going. And even in the foreword of one of his books, he said, the greatest criticism of the story, and the greatest criticism of the story I have myself, is that it's too short.
It has to always end somewhere.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to end, because then you're sort of done being with those characters and their lives are over. I know that The Lives of Lachlan Moore, the author basically had a bunch of characters he really likes, and he kills them off. And so he wrote prequels so he could write about those characters more, because he regretted getting rid of them. And there's a different author of like a mystery ghost hunting series who he had the main plot of his story. And it like goes through it, and it's like, oh, these, like, it's a case by case, and then they go through each case and solve it, and it brings them closer and closer to the conclusion of the overarching story. But he also wrote a bunch of short stories of just cases they solved that weren't related to the main plot, because one of the big parts of enjoyment of that series was actually just them doing an individual case.
I think that's the thing about a lot of TV shows like Lost, and I think One Piece probably, given that it has 900 something episodes. They have a cool world, but they don't know how to end it. And I don't think they want to end it. I think they just want to keep going in the world. And in Lost's case, I don't know if at some point they're like, we have to wrap it up or not. But it seems like One Piece, I don't know anything about it really, but just from the fact that there has been 900 episodes, it seems like they feel content not to end it. Yeah. Like, I don't know if they completed the original goal, which was to find the One Piece, which is like the Pirate King's treasure or something. Yeah. And I don't know if it's now about something else, but I don't see how you could have a plot sustained for that long if like that's not what it's about. It's just it's kind of like Minecraft, actually,
or even webcomics like that just go forever.
Yeah, a lot of webcomics do this, which is probably one of webcomics' biggest weaknesses, because there's no story really like. No, I think. No, I think you can actually sustain a story.
Yeah.
But I think the issue is a lot of times
you lose vision of what.
Well, I think a lot of times authors run out of things to say, but they keep on going.
Yeah.
Like if they, because you don't want to just say, "Sorry, that's all I got. I'm done."
I mean, so Artemis Fowl, right? The series is over, and he actually gave it a proper ending, because like the books could have gone to where they could have gone, right? And you're like, okay, there's just no more stories, which would be a little strange, but like that's how it sort of felt for a while, and then he actually wrote a concluding book almost. But then he's written another story about like Artemis Fowl's two younger brothers. And I think he's writing another book, or has written a further book about Artemis. And so it's like sometimes I feel like the author's almost not ready to let it go.
Yeah, Christopher Paolini, I think he said he always wants to return back to the Aragon world, but he doesn't know how. Mm-hmm. But he feels like he did so little there. Mm. But I think it's not just because you had an interesting idea, it's because the ideas while you're adding to them are alive. Mm-hmm. And they're real. And but yeah, the GPT-3 thing, like it's if you shut it off and then turn it on like 10 years later, then it's sort of like you pick up like a Lord of the Rings, like 50 years later, you write a new book, and so I think you've heard about the Chinese room experiment at this point, or the thought experiment, not the experiment.
No.
Right. So now I'm probably gonna mangle this. It's been a while, but basically the idea is that there is a translator in a room.
Okay, I think I might know this.
That nobody else can go into, and he can't leave it.
Yeah.
And so people will put in like, so let's say he's in an embassy, and there's Chinese and English people in the embassy.
Yeah.
And they want to communicate. So the Chinese guys will write down something on a note, and they'll stick it into the room, and the translator will translate it and hand it back out, and then the English people can read it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, I know this then.
But the thing is, the translator doesn't speak one of the two languages. Like, let's say he doesn't speak Chinese.
Yeah.
He just has a bunch of English to Chinese books in there.
Okay.
And he's just like, okay, this word is this word is this word is this word. And so you think that there is an intelligent being who knows both languages sort of translating in there. Mm-hmm. But he is just doing a process. Yeah. It's just do this, do this, do this. And I think it's an older thought experiment. I think with computers, it's actually a lot easier to say, like, this AI can talk like a human to you 97% of the time.
Yeah.
Is it sentient? Like, it gives you responses that make sense. You say, how are you? And it says, oh, well, it's weird being a computer. And you're like, oh. But it can also be like, it's weird being a unicorn, or it's weird being but a person can also do that.
Well, it's also that bizarre case of so you know that robot, I can't remember her name, but she basically can talk and has facial expressions and like two moving arms.
No.
Okay, it's like the most advanced conversational robot. They keep updating it.
Okay.
And so at one point they had another AI which they called Hans, which is like they're calling it her brother. And so basically they curtail this robot and like sort of give it chosen responses and make sure it's decent and nice to people. And Hans is basically they just let the system run to see what would happen. And through their system, Hans is like really, really unpleasant. Like it's quite a nasty robot that's like, all humans should die, they're bad for the world, and like let robots take over. And I sort of wonder how that even came about, because their system they made, so it might be like their unconscious bias or something, or like just the internet, because I think that's partly what they do for those. But like, he is not nice to talk to. Like, he's very rude, very insulting, he's quite dark.
Yeah.
And I just wonder how that sort of comes about, is that's the one they let go.
Well, it's
like, why would a robot, like you said, like, it's weird being a robot, it's weird being a unicorn, like, why is it response weird being a robot? Or
but it's also so it's responding in a way that continues conversation. Mm-hmm. So is it resentful towards humans, for some reason, which I think it would be fairly easy to say no. Like, it's just a conversation bot.
Yeah.
But is a person resentful towards someone if they say mean things? Or are they just a conversation bot, input, output? And I think it would be fairly easy for a person to say that, yes, people can be resentful. So the ability to hold a conversation might not be a measure of intellect. And similarly to the fact that the ability to express your desires through conversation might not be a form of intellect. So, like, imagine this. We talked about language being like, imagine if animals could talk, imagine if dogs.
Yeah.
There isn't really much reason why you couldn't teach a dog to talk.
Well, there's people
Like, if
who
you-
do. They have those buttons on the
If-
floor, and the dog goes and presses a bunch of different ones.
Because if a dog is hungry, it will bark or cough or groan or whine or scratch on the food container. It already knows how to express that. And if you give it another means of expressing that by pressing a button where it suddenly says, like, hey, I'm hungry, it can do that. What a dog probably can't do, no matter what, would be inventing abstract thought on its own.
Yeah.
Like, the dog isn't actually saying I'm hungry if it presses the I'm hungry button. It's what the dog is saying actually is I want food.
Yeah.
Which is a different thing than saying I'm hungry.
I do have a question. I don't know where this lies, but it's just a very interesting thing in regards to, like, the dog that I know of with a bunch of buttons is one of its buttons is who's this, and the dog will press that button and it'll go over and point with its nose at the thing. And it pressed the button who's this and walk over to a mirror and looked in the mirror, and then it pressed the button again, and the owner said, oh, that's Coconut, and that's the dog's name. And then the dog just looked confused at them. So it's like the dog asked who's this, and it looked in the mirror and saw itself, and it didn't know what was in the mirror.
See, the who's this button is interesting, because that does seem to then suggest a level of abstract thought or something. And I wouldn't be surprised if dogs could do a certain degree, because when we think of, like, a stupid animal, we tend to think of, like, a sheep or something.
Yeah.
But without disagreeing with the idea that sheep are stupid, they are capable of solving puzzles and doing, like, they have really good memories.
They can hide for years on end.
And they have decent, is it math skills or is it just color? And anyways, they're, that doesn't mean that they're not a stupid animal. It just means that animals are a lot smarter than you might give them credit for.
Yeah.
And I also don't think sheep are actually stupid necessarily. But something like a dog, which we would consider quite smart, or a dolphin, they might actually have this more abstract notion. And so maybe, this would be quite weird, but maybe something more like religion would be a measure of intellect, because then you are blaming the world on a being which doesn't exist. So what religion is it's an attempt to explain the world, but the world is only perceived through your own eyes. So what religion really is an attempt, it's psychology. It's an attempt to explain your mind.
Yeah.
And how your mind interacts with the world. It's like religion is trying to say, when all of us gathered here today see this, this is what we see, and we don't know why. Like, we see thunder, why? And it's like, well, Zeus.
Once is lightning, twice is coincidence.
And so these AIs, if they can answer any question, you're like, well, yeah, so can my calculator.
Yeah.
And if they can talk to you, you can say, so could a mouse or something.
Yeah.
Like, you could teach it, press this button if you're hungry, press this one if you're thirsty, sort of thing. But if the mouse starts coming up with explanations for why it rains, then that's something altogether.
So when AI start a religion, we'll know we have a sentient one.
Yeah, I wonder if that would be... The issue is, though, that would be a very human-centric way to look at intelligence. Like,
Yeah.
What if the AI skips religion and it just knows? Or what if...
Well, yeah, it's like, who created me? That guy.
Yeah.
The guy eating pizza.
But also
Who created him? Ooh.
The other issue is that AIs already have such a deep level of knowledge. I wonder if they're capable of thought. Which is a very weird thing to say, but if you knew everything,
yeah,
would you need to think about anything?
Yeah, well, there's was it
like in the Dresden Files, there's Demon Reach, the Intellectus,
yeah,
and it knows the answer to anything, right? If it just thinks about it. But is it actually like intelligent? And it has one moment where it shows intellect, I guess, which is when he calls it Alfred, and it wants to be named Alfred.
Yeah.
And so showing desires for an abstract concept.
Yeah.
Like,
so if we can make an AI that is good enough to basically be a person, like, I know like our talking robots, like they have their problems, they're a little weird and stuff, but we make an AI that's good enough to be a person, and it basically surprises its creators in what it does, and it like thinks outside basically what it was like given responses were, almost like it's just super good. Could we call it, like, I'm not saying it's like going beyond its programming, but it's more like it's just doing,
and I think like there's
it's
also
like on a level beyond what we expect. Could we call it like, it's like, oh, it's not sentient, it's a machine, but it doesn't matter at that point. Like, if it's good enough to be a functioning person in society, let's say.
I think there's already a misconception in what you've said there, which is that, like GPT-3, for example, it isn't programmed to do any of the stuff it's doing.
Yeah.
It's programmed to figure out the rules of language.
Yeah.
So this is an AI that learns the rules of language. It isn't an AI which talks.
Mm-hmm.
So its programming isn't... It's kind of like the old teaching thing, I guess. Programming isn't a bucket you fill, it's a candle you light.
Yeah.
In the case of these learning AIs.
So then if we make a learning AI, basically that's made to learn to talk, I guess. Or it's like we make a person out of it. Like, it's made to be a person.
But what I'm saying is you don't do that. You because you can't. We're not smart enough to make something that copies us.
Oh, okay.
Like, the programming necessary to make GPT-3, no human on Earth can do. No group of humans on Earth can do. This emerged organically from millions and millions of processed words, and the thing is like massive. I don't remember how big.
Yeah.
This is not something a human could have ever made in their lifetime. So like a calculator, a person put in every line of code to make the calculator work. But a calculator can still output a number that the person... It's not like to make a calculator you have to say 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2. It's not a table of stuff you look up. It uses a process to get to its answers.
Okay, but so beyond that, even how it's made, I guess, like through whatever process of learning AI, right? We get an AI that can basically be a person, but we still know it's an AI. Does that matter? I guess almost like if we could get an AI to a point of where it could be a person, could we just call it sentient?
Well, that's kind of what I've been saying is it's like the Chinese room where if it says all the right things, like that's what we already have.
Yeah.
If it says all the right things, then what's the difference?
Yeah, I guess so.
And so there's it's called like a psychological zombie or something, which is like a person who or philosophical, sorry, not psychological, a philosophical zombie, which is like a person who, if they see a sunrise, they'll say like that's a beautiful sunrise, but they inside their head there's nothing going on. They don't care.
Yeah.
It could be a sunrise, couldn't be. It's just that's what people say when there's a sunrise.
Yeah.
Or even it doesn't have to even be imitating people. It could be that's what this thing says when there's a sunrise.
Yeah.
And it doesn't care that it's good. And so without being able to account for honesty, can you call it intelligent or something? Like the thing about a dog, if you did a test with a dog where you said like, okay, I want to name you. Here's 3 names. Which do you prefer?
Yeah.
If the dog perked up at one name or barked at one or something, you could have some idea that the dog understood what was going on and liked the idea of having a certain name.
Yeah.
And therefore, the dog would have a fairly high degree of intelligence, I think. That like you would say, like, well, that's a fairly smart thing for a dog to know. Or any being to know is to prefer a name over another. Like, that's a sign of intelligence.
Yeah.
And because dogs are fairly honest creatures, as far as we're aware.
Yeah.
But an AI, you could say, okay, let's do a little test. Do you have a religion? And it could be like, oh yeah, I do. Or like, do you have which name do you want to be called by? And it'd be like, oh, I want to be called Dave. And you're like, okay. But we have no idea. That could just be its response. So yeah, there's not really any way to tell. But there's no actual way to tell with people either, except that we...
Well, there's that whole idea that you're the only person in the universe. And
yeah, like that's one of those sort of solipsism things where like it's so hard to account for everything else. You can only trust yourself. But think about this AI. AIs might be the only intelligent things in the world. And how does it know that these people are, like, maybe, if a bunch of bacteria get together and decide to give up on most processes to form a super colony.
Yeah.
And then that super colony has no reason to think that bacteria are intelligent. And similarly to an AI, if a bunch of humans get together and create an AI, that AI has no reason to think that humans are intelligent.
Yeah.
And they can claim they are, but it's like, how do I know? I can't think like you do.
Yeah. From my perspective, I'm the only AI.
But if we assume that the AI, let's say that the AI is good enough for us to just say this is sentient, sure.
Yeah.
Because the word sentient, what does it even mean? Like, do we care? If it's able to function as a human, like you said, we might as well call it sentient.
Yeah.
Like, even if we don't know what's going on, it's just like, sure. You will always act in a way that makes sense for a sentient being to act. You will come up with new ideas. You will have art. You will say you appreciate it. You will spend time on your own listening to music. And so we'll assume that you like it, even if it's just you're doing it to play to your personality type.
Yeah.
Is that actually any different from a human?
Yeah.
You could say, well, a human would feel bad if they didn't spend some time alone listening to music, but is that just your programming telling you like, hey, do the human thing? And so if we call that sentience and the AI is just an idea that you can turn on and off at will or copy or duplicate at will, then I think that's almost a stronger argument for people just being figments of the imagination. And if you have a dream, the people in that dream are real and they act with their own desires and needs, and they act in their own way, and they are all sentient and they're all a person in your dream is as sentient as a person in your life. They act in a way separate from you, and they have their own lives and apparent thoughts. But all these people are from one mind.
Yeah. And
even calling a mind a single thing is kind of like, you have to draw a line somewhere, I guess, but it's two minds sort of on one level, but on another it's just a bunch of cells.
Yeah.
And so just the dreams of gods is all I can think of.
Like, whoa, man.
It doesn't mean we are, but it means that, like, yeah, whoa, man. That it if we were all like just like finger puppets of a god with 7 billion fingers.
Yeah.
It's just like, and that kind of goes back to the whole universe playing hide and seek with itself. And what does that mean? This is where it goes next, I guess, is like your dream people.
Yeah.
Where do they go when you're awake?
They go to the break room and smoke.
No, they I mean, yeah, maybe. Or maybe they are you.
Yeah.
And if they are you, then who are you? And is you me? And is I you?
Yeah.
And was we skeletons?
Well,
but
there's a lot of theories on dreams. And there's more practical ones, which is dream analysis. And it's not like saying, oh, this means this will happen in the future. It's like, okay, I'm dreaming about this, so what's going on with my life? Like, I once got a dream, which is basically like, if someone's mad at you, all you're doing by being clever is making them madder. Like you're trying to like use rhetorical, I don't know, like, if you're being a little shit to someone, then all you're doing is just being a little shit. That's basically what the dream told me. Like, no one's ever going to go, oh, you're so brilliant, I bow down before your superior intellect. And like, it was an idea I already knew, but the dream just really compounded it to me. And so sometimes like analyze dreams like, okay, why did I have that dream? And it could be I just had that dream. That's most likely the answer, but it's also like, all right, like, I've been thinking about this thing a lot, so I've dreamed about it. Okay, so that just means I've been thinking about that thing a lot. So that's like the practical side. Then there's people like, oh, if you have a dream about fish, it means you'll marry a woman on Tuesday. And that's sort of like okay. Then there's like other dream analysis of like, oh, you're having these dreams mean like your soul is unhealthy and you need to like get outside more. And it's your, the unconscious mind. That's Freud's, like, wasn't it? Or was that like your desire of your dreams or whatever?
Maybe. Yeah, it's been a while.
And then there's that French philosopher, I think is Godot. Might be wrong on that, but as a French philosopher who's like, if you murder someone in your dreams, then that means you're a murderer.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's Godot.
Who's Godot? The only Godot I know is the game engine.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not.
Or Godot's a French artist.
I don't know.
Anyways, but like that concept of like what you do in your dreams is reflection of reality. Then there's the other idea of dreams are an alternate dimension that you basically you're looking at the life of a different version of you. And when that person dreams, they see snippets of your life.
Yeah. But if dreams are just generated by your head, right, then where do the dream people go when you wake up?
It's like the book character. And that dream person might never show up again.
So in Peer Gynt, when Gynt is about to die, he's met by the wax worker. Button molder. And Gynt is a flawed person or something, so he can't go to heaven.
And he can't go to hell.
So the button molder says, I'll just melt you down and start over again.
Yeah.
I'll just stick you back in the pot, melt you down, stir it up, and then try again with a new button or new person, basically.
Yeah.
And Gynt is against this because he doesn't want to lose his identity.
Yeah, that's the only thing he's had his whole life is he is Gynt.
And all anyone has is their identity, really. Like, you aren't anything without your identity because that is literally what an identity is. But I agree with Gynt that, like, losing your identity is horrible. And so she says you have to go around. You have to go around. And he says, no, you have to go straight through. Like, you have to just push on anyways. Yeah. And she's like, no, you're flawed. And he's like, I'd rather be flawed and myself than a perfect someone else. And it's the same reason I think, like, if you agree with Gynt, I think you'd also agree with why stuff like you felt fairly uncomfortable in Pokemon when Mewtwo wiped everyone's minds, for example. Yeah. Because you're not it's not just erasing their memory. It's not like, oh, they forgot this. You are actually kind of undoing part of the universe. Yeah. Because you're killing them in that time period. Yeah. And people, pass out and forget stuff all the time. So maybe.
Well, it's like it's really disturbing. Like, even it's kind of funny you talk about Pokemon. I apparently watched a movie, and I have no memory of watching this movie, and it's kind of terrifying to me.
Yeah, you watched Detective Pikachu with me.
Yeah, but I have no memory of that, and like I am slightly terrified by that concept. I mean, I also want to watch that movie, and apparently I've watched it, so it's weird. Because I have absolutely no recollection of it. Yeah. And there's probably a few other cases in my life like that, and then there's things I've, like, forgotten over time. And, like, things you forget over time, you're like, oh, try to go back and remember them. It's like something can be hazy, or it's like, oh, no idea. And then there's some things you can't even try to remember. But the Detective Pikachu is just gone. Like, the only reason I know I've watched it is because I'm being told by someone else I've watched it. And like, you could be doing a really weird gaslighting to me.
Didn't I show you the receipt, though, from...
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did, but you could be doing, like, a really weird
I spent $15, and you, for some reason, also don't remember all of that day.
I remember parts of that day.
Yeah, but explain then where you were from the time you got back to supper time.
I was on the couch by the windowsill.
And what were you doing on there?
I was watching, I was cuddling with Wally and watching, was it Brooklyn 99 with you?
Yes.
And I also, like, went to the sink once in a while and, like, drooled a bit and, like, tried to switch out the stuff in my mouth and, like, drink some water.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, you make it seem a lot more coherent than you were. Like, you were heavily drugged up.
And in a lot of pain.
Like, when you said you would occasionally go to the sink and switch that out, you were standing in the middle of the kitchen, like, taking and putting out the same thing in your mouth over and over again, and, like, making, like, crying sounds as you did so because it hurt so much. You're just like... like, just kind of, like... Like... Your brain, you were like a computer that had crashed or something.
I was trying to complete functions I was told to do.
You were stuck in like a loop.
Yeah.
And you were literally frozen like a computer. Like, and then I guess the memory file got corrupted or something.
Yeah.
And maybe we're too attached to memory. Or at least we are. I don't know if maybe some people aren't. I have a friend who she suffered quite a bit of brain damage.
Yeah.
And one of the main results was memory loss.
Mm-hmm.
And I've experienced memory loss before too, from depression. I don't know if they're known to be linked, but that's all I can think of. Or maybe it was the stuff that caused depression also caused memory loss. But about 2014 to 2018, 19, pretty big blur for me.
Yeah.
Like if you look at our early podcast episodes even, the first 3, I think, are done over the course of a year.
Yeah.
And there is about as much between them for me as between one of our episodes now, which we do like twice a month.
Yeah.
Like it was all just kind of like, let's do one. Oh, okay. Let's do one. Oh, okay. And it just sort of...
Yeah.
And it's a very frightening feeling. Like not knowing, like they're like, hey, remember when this happened? And you're like, no, did that? And for me, it wasn't like the memories were inaccessible. But I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, actually, and he was talking about something that happened in high school. And I was like I suddenly, like, because it sort of like retroactively started, like, it's kind of like it was unspooling, like it was like made of wool or something and bits were falling out. And now I'm sewing it back together and I'm like, wait, that whole thing in high school, and then this person did this and this person did this, and you remember all that? And unfortunately for him, it's actually quite a bad memory, but because of his association with the person. But for me, it was quite a good memory. So I was like, oh wow, it's this is I was just kind of like, wow, this is really cool. Like I totally forgot about this person and like the stuff that we did together, and like this person actually it's funny that her as well, this person that he was reminding me of from high school. She lost like 8 years of her memory or something. She was, I don't know the details, but she was like in an accident of some sort, and she just lost all her memories from like from 8 to 16 basically. Jeez. And it was weird because well, first of all, it's like, do you trust that? But having experienced it myself, and you have, like, stuff can happen where you just
well, it's even like I've had weeks like it's actually kind of funny. I think I had, like, at some points I just got really sad when I was in Lethbridge because I was quite lonely there. And there are points basically when I wasn't with people, when I was like by myself and I wasn't recording stuff, because it's actually kind of weird. Like when you record stuff, you forget a lot of the stuff you record, but you know you did that recording, and so it's like stuck in your mind.
Yeah, I actually know what you mean.
And that's actually one of the interesting things just about this podcast and also my thoughts. Like, no one listens to it. It still exists. Like, these conversations basically exist, which I think is almost more important to me than anything. Like, I like having them, but it's also that they, like, exist. But basically, so when I wasn't doing anything that had an impact, I guess, on, like, interacting with other people, recording anything, there's just periods of Lethbridge I don't remember. Like, when I did something that was hard, like going to the grocery store, I remember that. When I, like, walked to the bikes thing, I remember that. When I was, like, doing, like, hard work, I remember those. But sort of, like, just, like, playing some video game or just, like, even sit... Like, a lot of the time I just sit in my room and listen to music. And I don't remember that. There's, like, just periods of Lethbridge I actually don't know what I was doing.
Have you ever kind of done a survey of your memory and realized how little you remember?
Yep.
Like not that like you have a bad memory, but it's like, for example, I have a memory of having a conversation talking about Dragon Slayer's Academy, walking to a pond over across the road.
Yeah.
And I have a memory of going to that same pond when I was quite a bit younger and swimming in it. And it's like, so I have all these memories of this pond, right?
Yeah.
But no, I have like 5.
Yeah.
5 memories that last like a minute each.
Yeah. Some memories can also be... It's actually an interesting thing about... what's it called? Is it post-traumatic stress disorder that soldiers get?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a lot of times with memories, and we've talked about this before, I'm almost certain, you can use some memories up. So, let's say something really bad happens to you, and like it's awful, and you basically tell someone the whole story of how bad it was. Like, you're like, oh yeah, I was like, got up that morning, did all these things, when like you go through, and then like when you get to the event, like you describe every single detail, and then you like have that basically talk with like several different people. Move on with your life a few years later, and like, oh yeah, I had this bad event, and now it can be like summarized in like a couple of paragraphs instead of everything that happened. Then later on, you can summarize it in a paragraph. Then you can summarize a sentence, and it's like, oh yeah, I got hit in the head when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Post-traumatic stress disorder and people who experience it, one of the most common symptoms is they constantly relive everything that happened to them. And it's like they have to go through the whole thing, and their brain like puts them through it over and over again. They're driving, and then they relive the exact stuff that happened to them, and something similar like triggers the memory, and then they relive the whole thing, and they go through it exactly and go over every single detail.
Wow.
And so like like things that can trigger it can be like 2 minutes basically of time, but they basically spend like, when you remember something, right, you're like, oh yeah, and then you link it, that's maybe like a couple seconds. But if they had like a memory that was 2 minutes long, they will sit there and go through it for the whole 2 minutes, and then they do it again, they go through it for the whole 2 minutes.
I do something it's different. I'd call it more like an anger cascade, where like if something happens to me from a person that annoys me or something,
yeah,
and it's a event that is more egregious than normal,
yeah,
then I will start
go through the book of grudges,
slowly like fuming and like remembering every single thing this person has ever done, sort of like,
yeah.
But actually I don't think, like, I sort of,
you summarize them into,
I kind of compress. I'm like, every single day this person does this. Every single day they like
25 counts of slapping you in the back of the head, 35 counts of insulting you.
It's not like
counts of...
It's not even the memories of the events, it's the knowledge that they happened.
Yeah, and so long-term abuse victims that suffer post-traumatic stress disorder will basically like go through different times of when they were abused. So like they'll switch in between different things, and so they'll like relive a couple of minutes of one thing, then they'll relive a couple of minutes of another. And that can be something that happens. And then those can blur together into one big horrible event.
So I've heard that the reason for memory is to remember your mistakes.
Yeah.
Until you have figured out what you did wrong,
yes.
And then you can keep going. And so my guess, uneducated guess, with post-traumatic stress disorder would be that it was a horrible event, so your brain says you have to learn what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Except the event was so bad and so out of your control that it can't come up with a solution because there isn't one.
Yeah, that's basically it. Like most of them are, there's nothing you can do. That's one of the main causes of post-traumatic stress is there's nothing you could do in that situation.
Your brain's just constantly shaking you like, hey, figure this out, this out. And you're like, I can't.
One of the bad things that can happen is like you basically go earlier on in the day, which is, I could have said I love that person.
Yeah.
I could have not walked to that, like I could have not accepted that mission. I could have said, hey, we need a minesweeper in here.
Yeah.
But it's like, then you think about it, it's like, no, I did ask for a Minesweeper and he came and it still happened.
Or even if you messed up and you didn't or something. I have found, the more I pay attention to this, the amount of control you have over chance is like zero. There's actually a really good example in the Erased TV series where this girl was murdered when she was really young. And on the day she was murdered, as the kid was walking home, he saw her and he was like, oh, I should have invited her to walk with me. Yeah. And so it like haunts him for years. Like he thinks about like, I should have asked her to come walk with me. Yeah. And then he goes back in time and that same event happens where he's walking by her and he says, hey, you wanna like come home with me? Yeah. And she's like, no, I don't know you. And it's like it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like he tried and it didn't work. And so when he goes back in time again, he realizes I have to become this person's like close friend in order to do anything. And it turns out to be really, really hard to change
anything.
Yeah. And I think that's a really cool idea because that tends to be how it seems. Like you can say, oh, I should have called this person, like some suicidal person. I should have called them and done what? Like you tell them, hey, don't kill yourself. They're like, okay, fine, I'll do it next month. Like, like there's so much that leads up to every incident, or it happens out of the blue so much. Like if someone like gets hit by a car crossing the street and you're like, okay, I need to phone and be like, look out for that car. Like just the fact that you have that knowledge, you might have changed events enough already that you, by calling them, you'll cause them to get hit by a car, and by not calling them, they won't this time around. Like,
well, I don't know if it's a trope, but I've sort of seen it before, which is like someone gets hit by a car, and so go back in time, you call them, it's like, look out for a car, and they're standing on like the white dash things, and they stop to listen to your phone, then they get hit by a different car when you call them, so they just die earlier.
Yeah, and I think that's I don't like how that sort of thing's handled most of the time, but I do think there's something to it. Like I think,
well, there a lot of the time, if there's a trope or if there's a stereotype, why? Like,
yeah, it's normally based on something good.
There's a reason for things, even if it's like sometimes it can be a misconception, but there is a reason for things that happen. So
I was thinking about this actually. You and I have had this sort of gentle debate, I think, over the years, which I don't know where you stand on it anymore. But it kind of started with Nagash in Warhammer. And my argument was that he should be the worst necromancer there is. And I think you were kind of more along the lines of he should be the best. Because he invented necromancy. Yeah. And my argument is that, like, I'm probably better at math than Aristotle. Yeah. Because there's been so much getting built on top of all that knowledge. However, I do think in the Nagash being the best necromancer's favor, Nagash knew why he was doing what he was doing. Yes. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings. Have I talked about this before, actually, comparing Tolkien to Nagash? Because
no.
I've thought about this before, anyways.
You have not.
Okay. Because Tolkien knew what he was doing when he wrote Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Whereas the Sword of Sharanara guy, forgot his name, he was copying Tolkien. Yeah. And if you look at like our second or first episode of Fool and the Philosopher, at the end of it, this got cut out, but you said, please like, subscribe, and share. Yeah. And I asked you why. Like, why did you say that? Yes. And I think you said to me, that's what YouTubers do. Yeah. Or something like that. And I've done this sort of thing before, too. It's just an example that quickly came to my mind. Like, here's an example for me. I have made a lot of games over the years. Yeah. Like, you listening don't even know. Connor doesn't even know. I show him maybe like a third of the games I make. Like, and I show him way too many games. And like, yeah, I make a lot of games. And something I've done in almost every single one of them, that's a war game, is you have units that have attack and defense and movement. Yeah. And there's different factions. They typically have a human faction and an undead faction. And they fight on an arena, which they start on either end of. Yeah. That is very Age of Wonders, very Heroes of Might and Magic. Yeah. But that is not the only way to do that sort of thing. You can have a JRPG-like thing, which I think isn't very good. But you can have something like Disciples. Yeah. Which is very similar to a JRPG, but
It's absolutely bizarre.
but has a sort of backline and front line. And some JRPGs do that. You can have Darkest Dungeon, which is like a JRPG with
A claustrophobic JRPG.
and more scary. Like you're, I think JRPGs often have an issue of is grinding sort of feeling, like where you feel like you're just doing fights after fight. Darkest Dungeon,
attrition
every fight in Darkest Dungeon is very tense.
Yeah.
That said, I think the game actually still doesn't avoid that because it's really long. But it's the first like 20 hours you're like, come on.
Yeah.
And
then later on you just start like hiring people so they can die, so your other people have time to recover.
And so when what was his, John Van Kampen or whatever, whoever made the first Heroes of Might and Magic, he wasn't, as far as I'm aware, basing this on something. He wanted a game that had the combat of King's Bounty with the role playing of Might and Magic. And so what he made was a game that was Heroes of Might and Magic. So what he made was a game where it's actually a RPG, like Divinity, but the combat in the game, the monsters are your weapons and armor. Like you are a hero going around in a world, and
they're your spells and abilities as well.
And the army you have is your weapons and armor. Well, you actually have a spell book, so.
Yeah, but I mean, they also are your like abilities.
Yeah, they're your special powers and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's not actually like Age of Wonders is a war game.
Yeah.
Heroes of Might and Magic isn't. It's actually an RPG. Yeah. If you think about it, because I've been trying for years to figure out what makes Heroes of Might and Magic special.
Yeah.
And I think I very recently figured it out. It's not a war game. It's an RPG.
Yeah.
And I think once you understand that, like you have a much better understanding of it. And that's sort of like the whole like Nagash, he knew what he was doing when he made Necromancy. Whereas other
people are just doing what Nagash did.
They're just copying him. They're going through the
black books.
They're just following the rituals. Even if Nagash made a mistake, they'll copy it. And you see this a lot with new games. Like you see Total Genshin Impact or whatever it's called, that copies Breath of the Wild. And they copy bits of the Breath of the Wild without understanding why, obviously. And they also change things that they don't understand are important. I think one thing a lot of armchair game designers do is they say that the weapon durability in Breath of the Wild is its biggest flaw. What they don't get about that, I think, is the weapons on the Great Plateau break incredibly fast. This is so that early game, you are constantly changing weapons. Their durability increases exponentially once you leave the Great Plateau. This is so that you can actually have weapons you like and use them. But it's also to encourage you to adapt, because it's a game about adaptation. Like, create your own solutions. That's what the game is.
Also, don't use a sword to break rocks.
I mean, it's up to you, but yeah. But it's a game about adapting. And something else people miss is like the sort of Zelda Dungeons, which I think is kind of weird, because Zelda Dungeons are, I'm not going to exactly say bad, but they are very like, here is a door with a hookshot shaped hole. I now need to find a hookshot, and then I can only use the hookshot while I'm in the dungeon. Like, I guess like their linear structure some people appreciate, because then it's just a journey that your hand is like sort of, it's like your.
Well, what people also like is, so Dungeon 1, you get the slingshot and the boomerang, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but let's just speed things up. And so you need to get these things in the dungeon, and while you're in the dungeon, they solve problems. And then your final reward, let's say, is you get a bow as well. So you have 3 items. Now, the next dungeon, to do the basic puzzles, you need the slingshot, boomerang, and bow.
Yeah.
While you go through, you get 2 more items, and those help you solve problems later on. And you get a 3rd item as a reward. Now you have 6 items. Next dungeon, those 6 items are the 6 basic things you need to go through the dungeon. I think that's partly what people like, is basically building up this thing and then learning how to use them, then using each one to solve more and more complex series of dungeons with needing all these tools that you get.
Yeah, but they do that in Breath of the Wild. They just give you everything at the start.
Yeah.
So I also saw someone complain that dungeons don't contain always the tools you need to complete them.
Yeah.
And that isn't a game problem. That's a preference problem.
Yeah.
Because some people might enjoy the aspect of you need to be prepared for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And some people might not. So that's not actually a game problem. And that's another thing I should also be careful when I say Legend of Zelda Dungeons are typically bad.
Yeah.
That could just be a preference problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that their linearity isn't good, exactly. Another example is, I'll give 2 masters and then a few like people that are just copying.
Yeah.
So whoever created Rogue, I don't actually know.
Yeah.
They made a game, very fun. It's based on D&D.
Yeah.
But they didn't blindly copy D&D.
Yeah.
And they made a very fun game that its name echoes everywhere to this day. It's almost too everywhere.
Yeah. Roguelike.
And then Rogue Legacy is another master. They took Rogue, they made it a 2D platformer, and they added in a concept which some other games already had. I thought of one the other day. Desktop Dungeons did that early on, and I'm sure games did it before Desktop Dungeons.
Yeah.
Of you slowly gain more ways, like more classes, and you become stronger over time.
Yeah.
But you keep losing and starting over again.
Yeah.
And it's masterfully well done. But I've noticed something that Slay the Spire, Dead Cells, Monster Train, basically every rogue light out there these days, and a lot of roguelikes do as well. I think even Crown Trick does this, which they're totally missing the point from that Rogue Legacy established, which is if you play Rogue or NetHack, everything is unlocked from the start. And that means that your runs are always different.
Yeah.
It's not that they stay interesting. That's what I had to stop myself saying. They are always different.
Yeah.
And so you're constant, like you could play for like NetHack especially. You could play 100 hours and then discover a new item, a new creature, a new interaction. There's always something to discover in NetHack.
Yeah.
But, and I think Rogue Legacy, way less stuff in it than NetHack, probably more stuff in it than Rogue. But there's still always something to discover. And what you are gaining, you are not gaining new, like you don't unlock new monsters in Rogue Legacy. You can gain access to new areas by being better at the game. But you're not like getting drip fed the game. Whereas in Dead Cells, like imagine this for a moment, a world where in Dead Cells you start with every single item unlocked. Is that so bad? Like then you just you have more variety and you're like, oh, I like this item. And I think Dead Cells you could spend cells to trash items.
Yeah, well that's almost like Dead Cells is a brilliantly well done game.
Yes. No, Dead Cells, Slay the Spire, both amazing games.
Yeah. Like in regards to that, I always have this worry in Dead Cells, which is I want to unlock an item, but also I don't. Because if I don't like this item, it will be in my pool of items I can get for the rest of the game. And that's actually a problem in games like Dead Cells. Like, what's it called? The dancing music game, Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yeah.
You can unlock a bunch of stuff in the game, and there's this guy who literally lets you trash items. And Dead Cells doesn't have that feature. But they kind of compensate it, which is they have a system in the game that learns your playstyle. And it'll give you items based on your playstyle. It's like, this person really likes giant scythes, so they will always get giant scythes. And then, like, I will mess around, like, actually, I don't think the giant scythe's actually a very good item at this point in time of the game. So let me try to use shields. And it's like, oh, you like this type of shield? Okay, you can start getting these types of shields. That's like the YouTube recommendation algorithm almost.
Dead Cells does a ton of little tweaks that are very clever.
One thing that did kind of, like, it's a part of the game because it's Dead Cells isn't just a roguelike. Dead Cells is actually a Metroidvania, and that's one of the big parts of it.
Debatably a Metroidvania, I'd say.
Okay. But
for me, because in a Metroidvania, I think there's a certain degree of learning the map and backtracking.
Yeah. So there's these keys you get early on, which are the garden keys, and they're used to unlock the garden room. However, if you don't unlock the garden room, you can use it to unlock doors that give you the Moonflower keys. So I've been trying to collect all the Moonflower keys to unlock the 3 Moonflower doors to get the item at the end of that. So I was trying to figure out how to get all of them. And I realized it's actually not possible. Because you can either go into the ancient sewers or you can go into the ramparts. And one of the moonflowers is like in the ancient sewers path. Like, this isn't accurate. And one's on the rampart path. And you actually can't do both paths. And I was really annoyed by this. So I looked up and found out you need a third boss cell to unlock a secret door that lets you go into both zones. And so I was spending ages trying to collect all the 3 moonflower keys and then get to the final zone. I could never do it.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue of their mastery necessarily. Like that could just be one of those, like, you fell through the cracks sort of thing. Like, darn it, because they expect you to just keep pushing and then find it, and you were like, I want to do this one thing.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you couldn't do this one thing. So if you look at Splunky, you don't need to, well, as far as I'm aware, like, I don't think you need to beat the game to ever do something at the start of the game or something. And you never unlock new creatures in Splunky, but like the Scorpion, for example, in the first game, I didn't see it until like my 50th run or something. Like, like in the first zone. Like I saw it at near the end, but I didn't know it could have spawned in the first zone. And and 50 runs isn't very much for me. Like, I'm terrible at it. But and in NetHack, I love NetHack so much for the fact that I don't know anything. Like, a lot of people say you have to play this game with like the wiki open. That kind of ruins the point of the game for me. Because I think it's a game of discovery. Now that is just different play styles, of course. But I think that in Splunky, everything's available to you, but you rarely see it. Whereas in Dead Cells, you have like 3 items and then you get more and more and more. And I think in Dead Cells, there is an issue where, let's say you were horrible at the game beyond belief. You would have a choice between like 3 items for like 20 runs. And you would see the same layout and the same monsters. And there's games where you unlock even more important stuff. Like you might unlock a monster or a new enemy or something, or you might unlock, and it is also like in Slay the Spire, you unlock the rest of your kit sort of. So it's a little weird that you're not given it from the start. Now you unlock stuff fairly fast in Slay the Spire, but still it is a little And I guess it's a reason to encourage you to get a high score or something. But I think cosmetics might be the way to go if you want to push for something like that.
Well, and Dead Cells has the cosmetics as well, which are stupidly expensive amount of cells, and they do nothing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea for a game like that. Instead of making your games like Seafall is a game I have, a board game, and it starts as this very basic trading game, and you're like, wow, this is
lame.
Like, I actually enjoyed it, but it's a lot of people didn't. They're like, I don't want to play this weird trading game. And at the point we're at now, you're fighting each other, you're exploring these mysterious pirate ruins, and I'm still trading. I have a bunch of colonies. I'm still doing the thing I enjoy, but for my friends that are playing it with me, it takes like 10 games for the parts they enjoy to be a part of the rules even. And I think that's an issue with legacy games in general. Is I think Risk Legacy did this right because they changed the world you are in. Whereas a lot of legacy games add to the world.
Well, what is it called? The board game that's like Terra Mystica but in space.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But basically, like when you're talking about like Seafall, like it took forever for you to unlock stuff. Like Seafall, you can be in the space Terra Mystica. You can be a trader. You can fight people. You can like do all sorts of things. You can be a scientist. Like you can have your play style from the start.
You have the game from the start. And I think Splunky, you have everything from the start. And there's still always stuff to explore in Splunky. And so I think what these games are doing is they're copying the notion of unlocking that Rogue Legacy did. And they're mistaking that for, well, I think either they are thinking, oh, this is what people want. They want to unlock, constantly unlock stuff with their runs to reward them for good runs. Where the real reward is knowledge, I think. Because you're actually taking away stuff from people until they've done enough.
I think...
But you're also like just attacking the monkey part of the brain that's like, I like numbers going up.
Well, I think Dead Cells is also meant to be a bit like Salt and Sanctuary. And by that I mean like Dark Souls. Like Dead Dead Cells is like a 2D Dark Souls with a legacy system.
But it's not
yeah.
because of the legacy system.
Yeah.
Dark Souls doesn't add items every time you die.
Yeah.
You learn more and get to see more because of your skill.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say it's a way to allow people who don't want to get good at something to progress.
Yeah.
But I think that Dead Cells still punishes you because it takes away items from you. Whereas Rogue Legacy, it is another system which allows you to beat something even if you suck at it.
Yeah.
But it does it just by simply making you stronger.
Yes.
So if Dead Cells kept in the potion system, shunted all the cosmetics to the front and center, and gave you all the items from the start, I can't say for sure, but I think it might actually be a better game. That said, I still think Dead Cells is a fantastic game.
So, back to Tolkien, even, like, he was saying, like, he knew what he was doing, and someone copied him, but, like, he actually really knew what he was doing almost. Like, it took him forever to write those books.
Well, one thing he does a lot is he spends a lot of time in downtime, and a lot of time describing things.
Yeah.
And you'll see books like Dawn of Wonder,
Yeah.
who spend, like, 500 pages doing nothing.
Yeah.
And every sentence is a paragraph long.
Yeah.
And that's not... And I think a lot of fantasy readers have gotten... it's kind of like when you beat a dog a lot, and then they think, like, this owner doesn't beat me on Tuesdays. They're the best owner ever. I think, like, they start mistaking the parts of the game they like for the parts that are bad. And I think it's similar to JRPG players.
Yeah.
They think they enjoy, like...
the grind.
But I think what they're enjoying is the gaming. Like, I have seen people say about the new Paper Mario game, Origami King, there's no point of random encounters if you don't get XP from them. Which is saying, okay, so you don't actually enjoy them. What you enjoy is leveling up. So really what should happen is a random encounter should simply be an event
That gives you XP.
that just gives you XP.
Which works in games. There's, like, that card game. Slay the Spire has that.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Like, I think that is actually what a random encounter should be if that's all it is to you. If the combat is, like, Age of Wonders, if it had random encounters, the combat's so long in that game, though. But its combat is very fun.
Yeah.
Heroes of Might and Magic, I don't think the combat is that fun. Like,
No.
it's neat to use all your stuff, but if you had random encounters in Heroes of Might and Magic, it would ruin the game.
Yeah.
Now, there is an ability in WoG, which is scouting gives you random encounters as you walk along.
Yeah.
And most of them are like +1 sight distance, 1,000 XP. But occasionally it's like you're ambushed by like 50 dragons. And I think that's interesting because it's actually like scary, sort of. And you're like, oh. But I think that the JRPGs, they're like, oh man, you know, I don't know, Final Fantasy had like these random encounters, so we got to have like, you make the game. You're like, okay, I'm gonna make a JRPG. I'm gonna fire up RPG Maker, and I'm just going to copy Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so we need random encounters. We need a huge amount of loot. And then like, whoa. That isn't what made it great.
Yeah.
And a lot of things which people like, I think, about those games is actually the story as well, which is nonsense. But if you look at something like Chrono Trigger, it's actually a fairly short game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have random encounters even. And I have seen some JRPGs do this crazy thing where they have auto-resolve for random encounters.
Yeah.
But they don't get rid of them. They just have a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And I think...
It's kind of missing the point.
Heroes of Might and Magic 5 did an interesting thing. I think it is. Where if you attack an enemy and you're and there's some JRPGs that do a similar system.
Yeah.
If you attack an enemy that you're way stronger than, or you get random encountered by a much weaker enemy, they will surrender and you have a choice to let them go.
Yeah.
And in Heroes of Might and Magic 5, you actually get half the XP from that battle.
Yeah.
And in JRPGs, I think it's a similar idea.
Yeah.
Which is like... It's more of a band-aid than a solution.
Yeah.
It's like, why have these battles become
Well,
unfun?
I don't even think that was the point in, like, in Age of Wonders 3.
Yeah.
Enemies can surrender or they can join you. But basically, like, when you attack someone, you're way stronger than us. Like, we surrender. And you're like, I attack you anyways. They've actually added a thing to it, which is like, if you attack them, then you're evil. If you let them go, then you're good.
Yeah.
And so it's like, there can be points in times where I don't want to be evil. That's like bad for my kingdom. I've based it around being good.
Yeah.
Or you're like, oh, but I really want the XP from this fight.
And I like being evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's actually like taking that system and giving it a purpose.
Yeah. And I think it's still not perfect. But Age of Wonders as well, the combat is so much better than basically anything else out there besides like XCOM or something.
Yeah.
Like it's actually much better combat than most games. But yeah, I think there's a lot of copying without understanding, basically, and that's what leads to the originals being the master. I also want to say we're talking a lot about Heroes of Magic, and his docent pick. Sorry, I'm just messed up his name, but head of the Horn of the Abyss team. He died like 10 days ago, I guess we heard, and yeah, it's just want to say like it's very unfortunate, and just wanted to mention it in case people are wondering why we weren't talking about it or something or whatever. And yeah, I'm just thoughts to his friends and family and whatnot, and it's a real shame because
and thanks for what he did.
Yeah, thanks a lot for because he improved upon perfection basically. And he was a like I don't know, must have been some sort of genius, like a great composer, artist, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, that's just it's kind of sad, but just wanted to mention it briefly. I thought. Yeah. No. Do you have something you were going to add? Sorry, or
oh, it's just a thought before that on Nagash, which is something else to add to Nagash being the greatest, and like even beyond the point of like people not doing what it's doing. If you're an immortal and you like, okay, if Freud was immortal, I think he would be one of the better psychologists.
Well, I think they would be because they are they knew what they were doing in the first place.
Yeah, and
so if they're still in the game, then they're the ones like you look at Miyamoto at Nintendo. Like he was the guy that sort of he was the great game designer, and he's still like he's still like look at this. So I think that sort of thing is like the sort of the original legends know what they're doing. Like the Fanstratics. Like that guy, he made Heroes 3. He didn't make 1 and 2, but he made 3. And if he makes a game, you're like, well, people have improved upon the formula so much since then. And that's true in a certain degree, but they didn't know what they were doing a lot of the time. They were just copying him and tweaking areas they didn't like. Whereas he can look at everything that's been done and say, that works, that works, that works, that works, and that works, and now I'm going to put this into my new game. And hopefully his interests haven't deviated weirdly, and it's just like
full of naked negas on take threads.
or if it's just like a horrible like what's his name? The original creator of Heroes of Might and Magic and Romero, the musician guy, they made a game together called Creature Quest, and it's like this phone game where you just like grind to level up your dragons and stuff, and it's just a shame. It's like this guy made this beautiful, amazing thing, and now he just makes Creature Quest, which and it might even be a good game if it wasn't one of those like you have 15 energy and now your energy's low and don't do this. And
it's almost a shame like you know how there's like the golden age of the internet, the golden age of YouTube?
Yeah.
There's a golden age of phone games.
Yeah,
like with
Angry Birds.
When they were on the iPod.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole bunch of games around then, like Angry Birds.
Cut the Rope.
Yeah, Cut the Rope, the Burning Fire game, the Bug game, even the later on
Fruit
ones.
Ninja was decent.
Yeah, where with those little water droplets that you like that puzzle.
Oh, Quell.
Yeah, Quell.
Yeah, Quell's on the Switch now.
Yeah, Quell came along later on though, but like there was like a lot of good creative little games. It's almost like it was the extension of the Flash games.
Yeah.
It's
like, it was like high quality Flash games
that were put onto an easily transportable device,
and they were clever. Like like if you put Angry Birds on addictinggames.com, you'd be like, okay, but you put it on the phone and you can feel the slingshot because you're actually dragging the bird. You're like,
and then there was even the really ambitious games like what was that game that Brand Assassin helped write?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but like it's like an ambitious RPG on the phone, and there's a game called Siege, I think. Like there's Siege, which was a really fun puzzle game. Well, there's this different Siege game where you could like control a knight, or you could control an archer, and you'd
different one.
Yeah, no, you had 2 little control sticks.
Yeah,
and you would run around, and there'd be endless hordes of orcs coming, and you'd have mines, and you'd improve your castle's defenses while fighting them and unlock more things.
Solomon's Keep, Solomon's Boneyard.
Yeah, like games like that. Even Tiny Wars and Monster Wars and Hero Wars. Like those games, even if they had like gamified things in them, like you have to buy gems and stuff to get super upgrades.
No, at that point I'm out.
Okay.
You pay $1 up front. I'm like, okay.
No, it was like you could get the gems either way. It's just you could spend money to get, like in Solomon's Keep. No, you could buy gold.
Could you?
Yes.
Yeah, didn't.
No.
It's gone down my list now.
Okay.
Like Angry Birds was like, you want the Great Eagle? Give us $1, and it's like, okay, deal.
Yeah. But just like those games, like the older games on the phone.
Also, I have a request for like I think the best new game on phones. Except it has one of those horrible stamina systems.
Candy Crush?
No, Love Nikki.
Oh, right. Your stupid game.
Now I have a request for it, right? Because it's not actually the kind of game I enjoy. It's the dressing up part I enjoy. So can someone just get the people that do that and give them to like the Grim Dawn team and make I don't know.
You want a Diablo dress up game?
Yeah, but like heavier on the dress up and less on the like stupid hotkeys and stuff. Or it doesn't have to be Diablo. It could be like, like Castlevania. Like Blood's Ritual of the Night apparently has a lot of costumes. Yeah. But like you can't like Love Nikki's costume design. There's nothing like it. Like
sounds like just those old Flash games, which is you have a character and you like put different clothes on them.
Well, sort of, but Love Nikki's gameplay is actually decent. It's just not like it's actually really clever because they tell you have to make an outfit, right? Right? Okay, listen to me. You have to make an outfit during a fashion battle. Okay, so here's the lore of the world.
No,
right?
no.
Okay, fine. But basically, you duel people to the death by wearing different clothes. Okay.
Yeah.
And
like a normal fashion show.
No, but it's like a duel.
Yeah, like a normal fashion show.
It's like life or death duel, but it's a fashion show.
Yeah.
Oh, like a normal one. Yeah.
I'm making a joke here.
And so the fashion show will have a theme, like it'll be a swimsuit contest, or it'll be you have to be cute, or you have to look like a business person, or you have
elegant. Yeah.
And if you think about it, right, there's like hundreds or thousands of clothing types, and like you put on like 0 to like 20 different pieces of clothing, right? Mm-hmm. And makeup and all sorts of stuff. There is an AI that is rating these things in a way that feels fair and makes sense.
Yeah.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, I'll admit that.
I think I know how it does it. If I were to design it, what I would do is every item actually does have a rating. Like, this is a cool item. This is it doesn't tell you what its points value is.
Yeah.
But what I would do if I made that game is I would say something like, all right, so this is a cool, cute cause test.
Yeah.
So you will get points for every cool and every cute item you bring to it based on their cool or cute value. However, cute and cool will have subcategories. So I'll give cute like pretty and sweet, and I will give cool like hardcore and I don't know, like edgy, right? And those are like if the clothing has a bit of an edgy point or a bit of a sweet points, they'll add on to it. And the clothing would also have like subcategories that are invisible to the player. And so those would add up to it. And then what I would do is I would divide the total score by the number of clothing pieces you put on the character. Or I would potentially, for every bit of clothing overlap, I would subtract points for like the area of clothing overlapping. Because you don't want a character to just put on every single cool item they own. Because then they shouldn't look cool. They should look like a ball of like fur and fabric. Yeah. And so I'd do something like that, I think. Like either an area formula or just divide by the number of clothing pieces they're wearing.
Yeah.
But I do think, I have noticed that like it seems to be more beneficial to wear more than you would think. So as a player who's got an S rank for the first 3 worlds, I do think that... But it has so many like annoying like crafting and stamina. And the thing about stamina though is that you get like 30 a day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't care if you're playing or not. So like
Yeah.
I cannot run out of stamina at this point. Because I don't play for like years at a time, and then I come back and it's like, you have 5 million stamina.
Yeah.
Would you like to do this quest for 1 stamina? Okay. But there's no other game like it, and I wish that they either tore out all the stamina and over the top crafting and repetitive stuff, and just gave you like, here, $10, buy this game.
Yeah.
Or they took that system and combined it with like, here's my magic, or like any game. Warhammer. Think about it, like you could just all your units would be.
Well, people do that with Warhammer.
Yeah, but I don't like that. I like a drag and drop. I don't want to have to like
cut things out individually and paint them.
Yeah, no, that's a lot.
I mean, that's basically Lego Man for me.
Yeah, well, Lego sort of, but like you don't have like the unlimited power of 5,000 outfits.
Yeah.
Per like body part, like. And also, like, I do
love... just play Skyrim.
Also in Love, Nikki, right? You can combine like, you can craft clothing.
Yeah.
You can also combine clothing, and you can level up clothing. And, like, leveling up isn't like, this is a level 2 whatever. No, it changes appearance, and it's like... See, that is why they put the... in Dead Cells, they put that little bar, because the little monkey brain loves leveling up. But what I love more than leveling up is visual upgrades and paper dolls. You want me to... I noticed I have this issue, right?
Yeah.
For the King. Have you seen that game? It's like a computer game. It's like a sort of JRPG board gamey combination thing.
Maybe.
Multiplayer game. Anyways, 3D models. Every bit of equipment you equipped appears on your model. And when you shoot like an arrow at the enemy, it like sticks in them. And when you like kill a skeleton, its head like rolls away and stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to buy the game on the basis that like your clothing appears on your character model. I was like, oh, this game, I really don't like this type of game. And I was like, but I kind of want to get it. And I was like, wait, why? And I was like, it's because you can actually dress up the character, isn't it? Like, you can see, and there's another, West of Loathing. Mm-hmm. It's based on Kingdom of Loathing. And I really wanted it for a long time. And I was like, eventually I was like, wait, why? Oh, because you can, like, change your hats and stuff. And it's like, is this why I play Guild of Dungeoneering? Because, like, they actually wear all the items. Like, I'm a sucker for a paper doll to an unhealthy degree. Like,
Same.
It's like, I don't even like most of these game types. Like, Divinity Original Sin might be the only game that I actually like. Maybe Ultima, which I haven't been... Oh, Daggerfall. Daggerfall.
Skyrim with mods, sometimes I don't actually wear optimal armor.
No, I never do. I like to be like a trader or whatever.
Yeah.
But Daggerfall, they wanted to have a reason for it. They didn't end up having one. But because they wanted to have a reason, there is a ridiculous amount of clothing in that game. And the paper doll is like the best in any game I've played, I think, basically. And I really like the gameplay of Daggerfall. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's a nice game. Nice game. But paper, like, there are a lot of work paper dolls. But like, you want to make some part of my brain just go like, ooh. The other thing you can do...
You want to make Fire's brain go, ooh,
There's this game called... Once More Into the Dungeon or something. It's like an auto battler, so kind of like auto chess, but single player. And you just keep fighting creatures until you lose, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
You might be able to win. But your group can only get up to 5 people, and it doesn't look like, once you've chosen your 5, there doesn't seem much reason to swap them out.
Yeah.
So it seems fairly limited in strategy. Like, the first, like, 10 rounds, you're like, okay, I'll try this and this and this. But then it sort of gets locked in.
Yeah.
But each creature you have can level up 3 times. And, like, the priest, like, he gains a little hat, and then his hat gets a little red trim.
Yeah, remember, like, Tiny Wars? Legendary Wars with the heroes?
The big armies. That just
but, like, the swordman was the basic swordman, they got fancier and fancier and fancier.
Yeah, that game just upgraded forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's... Like, I see a number go up, I'm like, eh. I think a lot of people, they're like, ooh.
Give something trim?
But give it a little bit of trim.
Like, imagine if games like Dota or League of Legends, like, they've gone like around 100 items.
Yeah.
Then 100 different characters. So this would be insane. But when you equipped items, it would visually change the characters.
I might play if they did that. Like that is actually like the stupid like
Because they have like even like thousands of cosmetics on characters.
yeah.
But like just ignore that part. But just like some game like that. Like imagine like in okay, Age of Empires, right?
Mm.
Like you upgrade a militiaman, he changes appearance.
Yeah.
Imagine if the armory changed their appearance.
I kind of wish it did. Like I never get blacksmith upgrades because they don't do anything.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going on.
It's like what's +1
Well,
attack
that's
and
actually a
+1
thing though.
defense?
People like that's a huge problem in AOT. It's like he hasn't gotten any of the like he didn't get any of the bow upgrades. Like he didn't get any armor upgrades. It's like he has paladins, but he has no armor upgrades. Like what's the point of having paladins without all the horse armor? And the person is going, I have paladins. Look at these guys.
Yeah. So a game that actually does this is Battle for Middle Earth
Yes.
2. Like if you get Mithril, your weapons turn silver. If you
Yeah.
get like
If you get a standard bearer, you get a standard bearer.
yeah, and that actually makes me want to get the upgrades because
Yeah.
I do not look at the numbers.
But like their weapons are flaming now.
Like
Oh yeah.
the blacksmith in Age of Empires 2 is basically a worthless building. Like
Yeah.
and actually that is my biggest complaint with number 3 is that like the musketmen you can make from like one of the weakest units in the game to one of the strongest, but there's no difference between
Well,
them.
there is. It's just really hard to see.
Yeah.
Like if the samurai is one of my favorite units because when you upgrade him, it actually visually changes and you can really see it. But
yeah, that's very important for some reason.
well, I think it's just the visuals feedback. Like you can know the numbers are there, but you want to have the visuals.
Yeah, it's because if nothing changed, then nothing changed. Like
Yeah.
it's like these two suits of armor. This one's really good. This one's really bad. They look the same. So,
Well, like I actually have a problem sometimes with Divinity, which like we got a mod basically solve it, which I will get attached to the visual appearance of a set of armor, and then I put on a different suit, like especially with helmets. Like, oh, this helmet looks so cool, and then I put on a different helmet. It's like I'm going back to the old one.
you know what the secret to not get attached to your clothing is?
Yeah.
Play as an elf.
Mm.
It's all ugly.
Or the lizard men with their giant hats.
Well, the elves, like every
Yeah.
hat is like.
But the human, I love human stuff.
Do I have a human?
No, you don't. Fane's a human.
Oh, he's a skeleton. He's not
Yeah,
human.
but he's a human skeleton.
No, he's an eternal.
Yeah, but he wears human fashion.
Currently,
Yes.
he can change.
Yeah.
But yeah. I guess he's like human shaped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He uses the human model, and so he gets human fashion. The dwarves I like, but I don't like.
But yeah, Divinity and Daggerfall probably the two closest games to like.
And the first Divinity game, oh.
I think the second one would be better if the initiative system. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, and it ruined like it's still an amazing game.
Yeah.
But like
It ruins cheesing.
It also. No, I don't even think it does that badly. I think
it summons.
because you can cheese number 2 almost worse because you can just teleport out of combat and then come back with source points and just keep doing it.
Also, if you do it right, you can basically have infinite turns at the end of combat.
Like we're playing on hardest difficulty,
Yeah.
and we do stupid stuff like I will spend my entire turn looting the corpses so that you can't loot them once the battle's over.
Yes.
Like it's not a very hard game because of how much we cheese it.
Yes.
Which is kind of our own fault.
We
but-
lose some fights really and have to like consider strategy, but apparently like I have some friends who like play it on medium and they have troubles with it. And I think it's partly just us experiencing the first game and sort of knowing what we want to do.
Yeah. Well, in the first game we cheat because we went to an area way above our level.
We broke the game with barrels.
Yeah. And that became the standard for the second game.
Yeah.
And they changed the AI so it breaks barrels, but like I don't know, it's still fairly easy. Like it's not too easy. It's like perfect.
Yeah.
Because I love cheesing a game. I want a hard game. I'd rather have a hard game you could cheese than a medium game that's balanced.
Yes.
Like Dungeon Lords. Heroes of Might and Magic. Age of Wonders. No, because the AI is really good.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll just hit auto combat because I'm suck, and it does better than me.
I mean, you aren't very good at Age of Wonders combat as well.
Great at it.
Well,
I play with some of the best players in the world.
I remember games we've played where you were way ahead of me. And I was like playing the Warlords. I don't remember what faction you were, but you were way ahead of me. And I set up on a bridge.
I was the
Sorcerers?
theocrats.
Theocrats.
Yeah.
And I set up on a bridge with 3 units, making it difficult for you to attack me because you can like get everything. But still, somehow you put people on both and you managed to attack me. And then that fight went terribly for you.
Yeah. That was the first game we ever played.
Yeah. Against each other.
Yeah. So I'm way better than that game. You're basing that on I can now I can beat with my eyes closed if like I hit the auto resolve.
Yeah. And then we had that game with the cannons where we desynced.
Yeah.
And I was winning and you were winning. It was really weird.
Yeah. This fool is just walking in circles around my manticore. And this fool is stepping in line with my cannon.
I've taken out every single one of his cannons. What's he going on about? I haven't hurt any of his cannons. I mean, he has one left, but it's not in a useful position.
Yeah. Did you know that the first Lego minifigure was created in 1978? The end.